Coca-Cola, or Coke, may be a carbonated beverage manufactured by the Coca-Cola Company. Originally marketed as a temperance drink and intended as a medicine, it had been invented within the late 19th century by John Stith Pemberton and was bought out by businessman Asa Griggs Candler, whose marketing tactics led Coca-Cola to its dominance of the planet soft drink market throughout the 20th century. The drink's name refers to two of its original ingredients, coca leaves, and cola nuts, a source of caffeine. The present formula of Coca-Cola remains a trade secret, however, a spread of reported recipes and experimental recreations are published. The Coca-Cola Company produces concentrate, which is then sold to licensed Coca-Cola bottlers throughout the planet. The bottlers, who hold exclusive territory contracts with the corporate, produce the finished product in cans and bottles from the concentrate, together with filtered water and sweeteners. A typical 1-2 U.S. fluid ounce 350 milliliters can contains 38 grams 1.3 ounces of sugar, usually within the sort of high fructose corn syrup. The bottlers then sell, distribute, and merchandise Coca-Cola to retail stores, restaurants, and vending machines throughout the planet. The Coca-Cola Company also sells concentrate for soda fountains of major restaurants and foodservice distributors. The Coca-Cola Company has once in a while introduced other cola drinks under the Coke name. The foremost common of those is Diet Coke, alongside others including caffeine-free Coca-Cola, Diet Coke caffeine-free, Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, Coca-Cola Cherry, Coca-Cola Vanilla, and special versions with lemon, lime, and occasional. Coca-Cola was called Coca-Cola Classic from July 1985 to 2009, to differentiate it from New Coke. Supported Interbrands Best Global Brand study of 2015, Coca-Cola was the world's third most precious brand, after Apple and Google. In 2013, Coke products were sold in over 200 countries worldwide, with consumers drinking quite 1.8 billion company beverage servings every day. 87 within the 2018 Fortune 500 list of the most important US corporations by total revenue. 19th-century historical origins, Confederate Colonel John Pemberton, who was wounded within the American War and had become hooked into morphine, began a search to seek out a substitute for the problematic drug. In 1885 at Pemberton's Eagle Drug and Chemical House, a drugstore in Columbus, Georgia, he registered Pemberton's French wine Coca Nerve Tonic. Pemberton's tonic may are inspired by the formidable success of Vin Mariani, a French Corsican coca wine, but his recipe additionally included the African cola nut, the beverage's source of caffeine. It is also worth noting that a Spanish drink called Cola Coca was presented at a contest in Philadelphia in 1885, a year before the official birth of Coca-Cola. The rights for this Spanish drink were bought by Coca-Cola in 1953. In 1886, when Atlanta and Fulton County passed prohibition legislation, Pemberton responded by developing Coca-Cola, a non-alcoholic version of Pemberton's French wine Coca. It had been marketed as Coca-Cola, the temperance drink, which appealed to several people because the temperance movement enjoyed wide support during this point. The primary sales were at the Jewish-owned establishment Jacob's Pharmacy in Atlanta, Georgia, on May 8, 1886, where it initially sold for 5 cents a glass. Drugstore soda fountains were popular within the US at the time thanks to the assumption that soda water was good for the health, and Pemberton's new drink was marketed and sold as a medicine, Pemberton claiming it a cure for several diseases, including morphine addiction, indigestion, nerve disorders, headaches, and impotence. Pemberton ran the primary advertisement for the beverage on May 29 of an equivalent year within the Atlanta Journal. By 1888, 3 versions of Coca-Cola, sold by 3 separate businesses, were on the market. A co-partnership had been formed on January 14, 1888, between Pemberton and 4 Atlanta businessmen, J. C. Mayfield, A. O. Murphy, C. O. Mullahy, and E. H. Bloodworth. Not codified by any signed document, a verbal statement given by Asa Candler years later asserted under testimony that he had acquired a stake in Pemberton's company as early as 1887. John Pemberton declared that the name Coca-Cola belonged to his son, Charlie, but the opposite 2 manufacturers could still use the formula. Charlie Pemberton's record of control over the Coca-Cola name was the underlying factor that allowed for him to participate as a serious shareholder within the March 1888 Coca-Cola Company incorporation filing made in his father's place. Charlie's exclusive control over the Coca-Cola name became a continuing thorn in Asa Candler's side. Candler's oldest son, Charles Howard Candler, authored a book in 1950 published by Emory University. During this definitive biography about his father, Candler specifically states, on Pan American Day, 1888, the young druggist Asa Griggs Candler purchased a one-third interest within the formula of an almost completely unknown proprietary elixir referred to as Coca-Cola. The deal was actually between John Pemberton's son Charlie and Walker, Candler & Co., with John Pemberton acting as cosigner for his son. For $50 down and $500 in 30 days, Walker, Candler & Co. obtained all of the one-third interest within the Coca-Cola company that Charlie held, all while Charlie still persisted to the name. After the Pan American Day deal, on April 17, 1888, one-half of the Walker-Dozier interest shares were acquired by Candler for a further $750. Company. In 1892, Candler began to include a second company, the Coca-Cola Company, the current corporation. When Candler had the earliest records of the Coca-Cola Company destroyed in 1910, the action was claimed to possess been made during a move to new corporation offices around this point. After Candler had gained a far better foothold on Coca-Cola in April 1888, he nevertheless was forced to sell the beverage he produced with the recipe he had under the names Yum Yum and Coke. This was while Charlie Pemberton was selling the elixir, although a cruder mixture, under the name Coca-Cola, altogether with his father's blessing. After both names did not catch on for Candler, by the center of 1888, the Atlanta pharmacist was quite anxious to determine a firmer legal claim to Coca-Cola, and hoped he could force his two competitors, Walker and Dozier, completely out of the business, as well. John Pemberton died suddenly on August 16, 1888. Asa Candler then decided to maneuver swiftly forward to achieve full control of the whole Coca-Cola operation. Charlie Pemberton, an alcoholic and opium taker, unnerved Asa Candler quite anyone else. Candler is claimed to possess quickly maneuvered to get the exclusive rights to the name Coca-Cola from Pemberton's son Charlie immediately after he learned of Dr. Pemberton's death. One among several stories states that Candler approached Charlie's mother at John Pemberton's funeral and offered her $300 in cash for the title to the name. Charlie Pemberton was found on Midsummer Eve, 1894, unconscious, with a stick of opium by his side. 10 days later, Charlie died at Atlanta's Grady Hospital at the age of 40. In Charles Howard Candler's 1950 book about his father, he stated, on August 30, 1888, Asa Candler became sole proprietor of Coca-Cola, a fact which was stated on letterheads, invoice blanks and advertising copy. With this action on August 30, 1888, Candler's sole control became technically all true. Candler had negotiated with Margaret Dozier and her brother Woolfolk Walker a full payment amounting to $1,000, which all agreed Candler could pay off with a series of notes over a specified time span. By May 1, 1889, Candler was now claiming full ownership of the Coca-Cola beverage, with a complete investment outlay by Candler for the drink enterprise over the years amounting to $2,300. In 1914, Margaret Dozier, as co-owner of the first Coca-Cola company in 1888, came forward to say that her signature on the 1888 Coca-Cola Company bill of sale had been forged. Subsequent analysis of other similar transfer documents had also indicated John Pemberton's signature had presumably been forged also, which some accounts claim was precipitated by his son Charlie. On September 12, 1919, Coca-Cola Co. was purchased by a gaggle of investors for $25 million and reincorporated. The corporate publicly offered 500,000 shares of the corporate for $40 a share. In 1986, the Coca-Cola Company merged with two of their bottling operators owned by JTL Corporation and BCI Holding Corporation to make Coca-Cola Enterprises Inc. (CCE). In December 1991, Coca-Cola Enterprises merged with the Johnston Coca-Cola Bottling Group, Inc. Logo design. The Coca-Cola logo was created by John Pemberton's bookkeeper, Frank Mason Robinson, in 1885. Robinson came up with the name and chose the logo's distinctive longhand. The literary genre used, referred to as Spencerian script, was developed within the mid-19th century and was the dominant sort of formal handwriting within the US during that period. Robinson also played a big role in early Coca-Cola advertising. His promotional suggestions to Pemberton included mocking a gift of thousands of free drink coupons and plastering the town of Atlanta with publicity banners and streetcar signs. Coca-Cola came under scrutiny in Egypt in 1951 due to a conspiracy theory that the Coca-Cola logo, when reflected during a mirror, spells out "No Muhammad no Mecca" in Arabic.